The streets of Atlanta were quiet, but the energy was far from calm. Inside her dimly lit apartment, Bambi sat alone at the edge of her bed, her hands trembling, her eyes fixed on the open laptop in front of her. The footage she had just received from Tamika was more than proof. It was power. A confession, a setup, a betrayal on every level. And now, she was done crying. She was done playing nice. She was done waiting. This was war. She clicked download on the final folder, labeled court, evidence, final. Her lawyer had been texting all night, asking if she was ready to go through with it. And now she was. She had the burner phone. She had the audio leaks. And now, thanks to Tasha K's mess and Erica Mina's exposed pink flip phone, she had the full trail. Scrappy was not just guilty of emotional sabotage, he was complicit in manipulating an entire storyline at her expense. She took a deep breath, then clicked send, at 9 a.m. sharp. Her lawyer filed a formal complaint with the Georgia Department of Labor and the Fulton County court system. Charges included digital coercion, emotional sabotage, and production contract. Fraud. VH1 was named. Scrappy was named, and attached to the filing was a full confession from Tasha K, documented while she was still behind bars. That same morning, a judge reviewed the materials in silence and issued an emergency motion for protective custody for Bambi, citing possible retaliation. And then he issued a warrant. Across town, Scrappy was still hiding at Mama D's house. He hadn't left the guest room in 2 days. The blinds were drawn, and every time his phone buzzed, his chest got tight. He was scrolling through old fan pages when Mama D burst in, her eyes wide with fury. "You're trending again," she snapped, throwing a pillow at him. And not in a good way. He looked up, confused. "What now?" She flipped her phone around. A headline blared, "Bambi files charges, Scrappy officially under investigation." His mouth went dry. "What charges?" he asked. "All of them," she said coldly. "That little burner phone you forgot under your seat, just put your name on a damn federal watch list." Before he could react, the doorbell rang. Loud, aggressive. Mama D froze. Scrappy jumped up. A voice on the other side of the door shouted, "Police! We have a warrant for Daryl Richardson, also known as Scrappy." Mama D's hand flew to her chest. Scrappy stepped back like he'd seen a ghost. "No, no, no," he whispered. "This isn't happening," but it was. They kicked down the door. Guns drawn, flashlights everywhere. Within seconds, Scrappy was face down, hands behind his back, being read his rights as Mama D screamed, "My baby." He didn't do this alone. Check the damn producers. Meanwhile, across town, Tasha K sat in a sterile courtroom, her wrists still marked from the cuffs, but her posture cool. Her lawyer was beside her, flipping through documents. "You're lucky," he whispered. "Bambi's team offered you immunity in exchange for full cooperation. They're throwing Scrappy under the bus, and you're walking today." She smirked. "I told y'all, I'm not the villain, I'm the camera." As the judge entered, the courtroom stood. Papers were signed. Bail was granted, and Tasha K, infamous and unapologetic, walked out a free woman. But not before locking eyes with the press and whispering, "I gave them everything. Let the circus begin." The circus had already begun. Outside the courthouse, fans and bloggers swarmed. "Tasha, did you really flip on Scrappy?" One shouted, "Are you scared for your safety?" Another asked. She turned, smiling for the cameras. "I'm not scared, I'm smart. Y'all better ask Bambi what comes next." That soundbite went viral before she even reached the parking lot. Back in her apartment, Bambi was watching the footage live. The moment she saw Scrappy in handcuffs, her body shook not with joy, but release. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was justice. She had played their game, taken every bullet on camera, and now she was calling the shots. Her phone buzzed. It was her lawyer. "He's in custody," they said. "Do you still want to proceed with the VH1 lawsuit?" Bambi didn't hesitate. "Every episode, every NDA, every fake breakdown. I want it all on record." But it wasn't just VH1 that was in panic mode. The Love and Hip Hop production office was in chaos. Executive producers were being dragged into emergency meetings. Editors were scrubbing footage. Interns were deleting internal emails. But it was too late. The court had already subpoenaed the production drives. Every unedited clip, every deleted confessional, every off-camera moment Tasha K had warned them about. The real footage was finally coming to light, and then came the biggest shock of all. A new leak hit the blogs. It was a video, time-stamped from months ago, showing Scrappy sitting in a producer's office saying, "If we push her too hard, she'll snap, and then I can come in as the good guy." The room went silent. Even the producer looked uncomfortable. "You sure you want to say that on camera?" he asked. Scrappy shrugged. "Y'all wanted drama, right?" That clip went more viral than any trailer. Fans flipped, hashtags exploded. Hashtag Scrappy, set her up, hashtag free Bambi, hashtag Tasha KWAS, right, hashtag VH1 new. Even old cast members started speaking out. Sierra posted a video, saying, "I knew something was off. They tried to make Bambi look unstable, but she was just cornered." Young Jock tweeted, "Man, I was on set. They edited out everything. This ain't it." Carly Red commented under a gossip blog, "And they wonder why we sue." Inside jail, Scrappy was unraveling. He had been put in a holding cell alone, for his own protection, but there was no protection from his own guilt. He stared at the wall, listening to the guard whisper, "Isn't this that dude from VH1? He wanted to scream, but he couldn't. All he could do was wait. Wait for the court date. Wait for Bambi's next move. Wait for the world to stop laughing. But Bambi wasn't done. She had one more move. That evening, she went live. The frame was simple, just her, no glam, no filter, but in her hand was a confidential court folder. "This is the real script," she said. "Not the one they forced me to read. Not the one they edited. This one is signed by Scrappy, the producers, and VH1. She flipped the pages on camera. Highlighted clauses included, "Cast members may be incentivized to provoke conflict. Emotional distress scenes may be reshot for clarity. Breakdowns encouraged if ratings decline." The comments were pure chaos. "What? This is legal. Where is Mona Scott? Burn it all down." The internet broke again. And just when it couldn't get worse for Scrappy, it did. A woman named Janelle, claiming to be a former VH1 intern, went on TikTok and said, "They had a folder on Bambi labeled trigger points. I saw it. They were timing her tears." The post hit 1 million views in 3 hours. Meanwhile, Tasha K, now out on bail, started teasing a new series, Prison Files, What They Told Me About Mona. The first episode was titled, "The Bambi Breakdown," was pre-written. Back in her apartment, Bambi opened a new folder on her laptop labeled Final Footage. She hit record and said, "I told them to stop. I begged them to stop. And when they didn't, I made sure I had a backup plan. This is it." The fallout from the first court leak hadn't even settled when the next wave hit. By the time the sun set in Atlanta, Bambi's video had racked up over 6 million views across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and fan pages. Her phrase, "This is the real script," had become a viral chant. Influencers were remixing it, TikTokers were reenacting her courtroom speech, and fans were flooding the VH1 page with snake emojis. But Bambi wasn't celebrating. She was preparing, because what came next wasn't just a public breakdown, it was a battle for every ounce of truth that had ever been buried behind the scenes. Inside her apartment, Bambi sat with her lawyer and Tamika, the former whistleblower who had risked her career to bring the files to light. "This next round is going to hurt," her lawyer warned. "The court has approved subpoenas for emails, text chains, security footage, even financial statements. Once we drop this, we can't take it back." Bambi nodded without blinking. "Then let's drop it all." Tamika slid over a flash drive labeled Executive Draft Cuts, Season 12. On that drive, proof that Scrappy and Erica Mena had helped re-edit scenes to villainize Bambi, including a fake confession scene spliced together from unused soundbites. Meanwhile, inside the jailhouse, Scrappy sat stone-faced, staring at a grainy monitor, playing clips of his arrest on loop. Even the guards were watching it now, chuckling in disbelief. "Didn't he used to be the one who rapped about respect? One muttered. Scrappy didn't respond. He couldn't. His lawyer hadn't visited in 48 hours. His phone time had been restricted due to online threats. And worst of all, Mama D had gone silent. That cut deeper than anything. She was the one who always had his back, even in his mess. But not this time, because Mama D had seen the new footage it had dropped just hours earlier, leaked by an anonymous email to every major gossip blog. In the footage, Scrappy could be heard saying in a green room during the Season 12 reunion, "Just give her a soft chair and some hot lights. She'll break in 5 minutes. She always does." And then laughter. Not just from him, but from Erica Mena. The moment that footage hit the net, fans turned. Suddenly, Bambi's tears weren't questioned anymore. They were validated, and Erica Mena, She was nowhere to be found. Her socials went dark. She stopped filming. Her PR team issued a blanket statement saying she was taking time to heal. But no one was buying it. Not after Bambi posted an email showing Erica was copied on the Dropbox link that included breakdown footage and burner phone transcripts. VH1 tried to stay silent, but advertisers weren't. 2 major sponsors pulled out. 3 cast members refused to shoot, and a behind-the-scenes featurette was removed from the platform completely. Internally, producers were told to shred anything not already backed up digitally. But it was too late, because TASHAK wasn't done either. Out on bail and reclaiming her platform, she posted a brand new teaser with the caption, "They thought I was the storm, but I was just the fog. The real monster." Mona Scott's emails. The internet went wild. What did that mean? Was Mona Scott Young, the mastermind behind Love and Hip Hop, involved in the emotional manipulation? Did she know? Did she approve of it? Bambi's team knew the answer. And they had proof. Inside a confidential email chain dated 6 months before season 12 aired, Mona had written to producers, "If Bambi's not breaking, she's not working. We need tears, or we'll need a replacement." The email was cold, clinical, no compassion, just numbers, and now, it was evidence. Bambi's lawyer filed a secondary suit, this time directly naming Mona, VH1, and select producers, including one caught on a hot mic saying, "If Scrappy flips hard enough, the audience will believe anything." At that same moment, a federal judge signed off on a temporary freeze of VH1's season 13 unreleased footage, citing pending investigation regarding coercion and unethical production practices. This was no longer just a reality TV scandal, this was becoming an industry case. Back in jail, Scrappy finally got a visitor, but it wasn't who he hoped for. It wasn't his lawyer. It wasn't Mama D, it was Tamika. They sat across from each other in the visitation room, phones against the glass. "I told you this would happen," Tamika said. "You could have walked away clean." Scrappy's voice was hoarse. "Why are you here?" She stared at him with no pity. "To let you know, you're not the only one they're coming for, but you're the first." Then she slid a note against the glass. It read, "2 days left before your deposition is public." He read it 3 times. His face changed. "You're bluffing," he whispered. But she wasn't. Because back in Bambi's apartment, the final edits were being stitched together. A new special was about to drop. Not on VH1. Not on Instagram. But on Hulu, acquired through independent docuseries funding. Title: Broken for Ratings, the real story behind Bambi's collapse. The trailer was brutal. Slow zoom on Bambi, crying in a confessional. Cut to a producer whispering, "Do that again," but more desperate. Flash image of Scrappy and Erica Mena laughing behind the scenes. Text overlay. They scripted her breakdown and called it reality. It was set to air in 48 hours. Fans were begging for it. Bloggers were foaming, and VH1 was scrambling. Mama D, now fed up, went live from her car and said, "I love my son, but I'm not gone live for him. What they did to that girl was wrong, and I warned him, don't let TV make you lose your soul." That clip became the most shared video of the week. Back inside her place, Bambi stared at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was steady. She turned to Tamika and whispered, "This was never just about me. It was about all of us who got chewed up and spit out." Then her phone buzzed. A new email. Subject line, "Backstage footage, Erica's confession." She clicked play. On screen, Erica Mena stood with a producer. Her mic was still on. She whispered, "If Bambi doesn't flip, we can say she lied about the pregnancy scare. I don't care what we use, just make her look unstable." Bambi's jaw clenched. She opened her notes app, typed, "Chapter 3, the final cut." Then she looked up, took a deep breath, and said, "Let's finish it." The night before the documentary aired, the city felt frozen. Billboards across Atlanta were plastered with black screens that simply read, "Broken for ratings, streaming midnight." No faces, no sponsors, just the warning, the warning. Inside VH1's corporate office, the mood was panic. Executives were on Zoom calls with crisis teams, PR consultants, and legal analysts. Some begged to issue an apology. Others wanted to try blocking the documentary. But none of it mattered. Now, Bambi had gone independent. She had the footage, the contracts, the receipts, and most importantly, the voice of a generation of women who'd been chewed up by reality TV and discarded when their tears dried up. At 12:01 a.m., the Hulu exclusive dropped, And within minutes, it exploded. The documentary began with a voiceover from Bambi herself. They called it entertainment. I called it survival. They scripted my trauma and called it content. But now, I'm telling the real story, mine. The next 90 minutes broke the internet. Footage rolled of Scrappy laughing with producers about trigger points. Clips played of Tasha K saying she was paid under the table to edit redemption arcs. And then came the bombshell, a hidden mic moment from a closed-door executive meeting where Mona Scott-Young was heard saying, "We need the women to look messy. That's the brand. If they break, we win." Twitter couldn't handle it. Hashtag cancel VH1. Hashtag broken 4 ratings. Hashtag Bambi deserved better. Hashtag fire Mona. The response was immediate. Brands dropped VH1 overnight. Streaming platforms froze new uploads of Love and Hip Hop. Multiple cast members posted apology videos, some crying, others distancing themselves completely. And then came Erica Mena's live. She showed her face, no makeup, red eyes, trembling voice. "I was scared," she said. "Scared of losing my contract. Scared of becoming irrelevant. I didn't mean to hurt Bambi, but I did. I knew what was happening. I let it happen. And for that, I'm sorry." The comments didn't forgive her easily, but it was the first crack in the wall. Across town, Scrappy was watching from a holding room with his attorney. As the documentary played, his leg bounced, with nerves. Then came the final clip, him on a hot mic saying, "I told Tasha to leak the fight clip. Once Bambi looks unstable, the fans flip to me. Easy." The lawyer didn't even speak, just stood up and walked out to get ready for court. At that same moment, Bambi stood at a press podium flanked by her attorney, Tamika, and several cast members who had finally come forward. She read a short statement. "For years, I was used, manipulated, and humiliated on national television. But today, I take that power back. We're not just suing for damages, we're suing for history." Then she filed a $50 million class action lawsuit against VH1, Mona Scott, and 3 executive producers, citing mental health abuse, coerced breakdowns, and falsified storylines. The courtroom shook. Even the media outside were stunned. No one had ever filed something this bold in reality TV. But Bambi wasn't backing down. That same night, a federal court ordered VH1 to release unedited confessionals from seasons 11, 12, and 13. Fans began combing through the raw clips in real time. What they found was devastating. Bambi breaking down and asking for a break, with producers saying keep the camera rolling. Scrappy being told to act like she cheated. Tasha K coordinating leaked audio from prison at the request of ASHOWRUNNER. Suddenly, Love and Hip Hop wasn't a show, it was a crime scene. Days later, the biggest headline dropped yet. Mona Scott-Young resigns from Love and Hip Hop franchise after documentary fallout. Inside her final meeting, she issued a short internal memo. "I was trying to create iconic moments. I didn't realize we were creating victims, but it was too little, too late." Outside, Bambi stood stronger than ever, and she wasn't done. She dropped one final Instagram post, a single black screen with the caption, "The Bambi File Unedited, streaming next month." It was her own miniseries, her OWN narrative. No producers, no contracts. Just her. Back in court, Scrappy took a plea deal. 8 months of house arrest, a public apology, and mandatory mental health training through a non-profit funded by the women he hurt. His apology post read, "I failed you. I failed myself. I let ego and fear turn me into something I swore I'd never be." The comments, brutal. "Too late. She already rebuilt what you tried to burn. Your career's done." She just started hers. And then, the moment the internet wasn't ready for, Tasha K went live one last time. "I may be messy," she said, "but sometimes, the mess is what reveals the truth. I exposed her. And now, y'all exposed the network." She held up her hands like a villain bowing after the chaos. Then logged off. In the final scene of her own unreleased footage, Bambi sat at a desk, facing the camera, her eyes steady. "No one thought I'd survive this," she said. "They thought my tears were weakness, but I kept every receipt. I memorized every lie. I was quiet so long, they forgot I could scream." She leaned forward. "But I'm not here to scream anymore. I'm here to write the ending." She closed her laptop. Fade to black. Text on screen. This series was based on real events. No names were changed. Because it was time the truth had names. Fans wept, Critics praised her, and producers everywhere took a hard look in the mirror. Because Bambi didn't just win the fight. She rewrote the rules.